So, this is a presentation on how to turn an assignment into an essay or project. First, you can turn the assignment directions into questions. Engage readers' attention and interest. Explain why learning more about this topic was personally important for you. This is a direction in your first essay assignment. You can take this sentence and turn it into two questions. First, how was learning more about this topic personally interesting to me? And then, of course, you write the question and work on an answer. Second, how can my interest be interesting to my readers? Well, the good thing about this particular project is it is what is called an ISearch paper, which means that you'll be using the word I quite a lot. I know it's a possibility that you've had instructors tell you that you're never supposed to use the word I, which I'm sure created some confusion for you when you realize that the word I is used in an awful lot of published work. The thing is that there are different types of writing for different purposes, and being able to express yourself using I is going to be increasingly more important as you do your job search, because you will need to be able to present yourself. So in using the word I, there's this thing that happens automatically. When readers read the word I, they become more invested emotionally in what is happening with the I. It's a nice little trick of language. You have another instruction: retrace your research steps by describing the search terms and sources you used. Discuss the things that went well and things that were challenging. This can be turned into three questions. What steps did I take in order to do my research? So you were directed to use Google. That means you went into Google. You perhaps typed in, job ads, plumber, firefighter, teacher, social worker, many sorts of things. So that perhaps led you to job ads, one hopes. What search terms did I use to gather my research? So you need to have a list of those because they're going to be included in your paper. What were my sources, or where were my sources originally published? So the internet is not the publisher. You probably are finding a lot of these job ads on some sort of system like Indeed or Monster, but those are the locations, maybe Indeed.com, Monster.com, or something similar. Maybe GovJobs, right? If there are jobs where the federal government is the employer. And then, of course, by what author or institution and under what title. So job ads, they don't usually, you're not going to have an author named Jim Stevens for a job ad, but you are going to have an institution. The institution will be the employer, and maybe it's the Fresno County. Maybe the employer is, I don't know, a restaurant or something, but it's that. And then the title is, of course, the job itself is going to be the title. So the title will be, firefighter or something. So you need to keep track of those, and they're going to be part of your paper. So you want to use these questions to help you develop the parts of your paper. You're going to do research to answer your questions, and you're going to put the answers in the order asked, and that gives you your outline. And of course, it's much easier to draft a paper when you have an outline to go off of than to try and wait for things to just magically happen on the screen in front of you. Turn responses into paragraphs, the search story. So you had engage the reader's attention and interest, explain why learning more about this topic was personally important for you. That's the first question, so that's the first point that you answer. Explain what you already knew about the topic before you even started researching. That goes second. Number 3, let readers know what you wanted to learn and why. State your main question and the sub-questions that support it. So this particular one right here, the answer to that is your thesis statement. And a thesis statement goes in an introduction. It often ends the introduction. So the natural structure that you have here is that you're probably going to be explaining these three things in your first paragraph, in your introduction paragraph. And next you have retrace your research steps by describing the search items and the sources you used. So this is basically your method for your research. You're explaining your method, and this is a typical thing that you would do in a social science or science paper. Discuss things that went well and things that were challenging. And the next one, share with readers the big picture of your most significant findings. So that will follow the one before. The first three parts of this make a good introduction, right? 1, 2, 3. The second two parts make a good methods section for a science or social science essay. And in fact, this assignment has the same structure as science and social science papers. So yes, I did that on purpose to help prepare you for college. You write a lot of papers in college, and an awful lot of the classes that you take are in the social sciences and some in the sciences. Paragraphing. As we said, your answers to 1, 2, and 3 could be an introduction paragraph, or alternatively, a minimal and general answer to parts 1 and 2 can preface your main question. Subsequently, fuller answers to the other parts can be full body paragraphs, perhaps some of which stand alone, while 2 others are logically related in 1 paragraph. The end result. This essay is to be a minimum of 1,200 words, which is about 4 pages. It's going to be double-spaced in Times New Roman, 12-point font, and that is about the length of it. It is common, though by no means a rule, that paragraphs in a college essay take up about half a page, double-spaced in Times New Roman 12-point. Your final paper could be in the neighborhood of 8 paragraphs, one of which is for your introduction and one of which is for your conclusion. This leaves most likely 5 to 7 body paragraphs. Now, this is not an absolute rule. It's just, something to put out there so that you can be thinking about how to structure your work and how to have it attractive and pleasant to read. The ISearchParts again. Number 1 is the search story, which can take up your introduction and the first 2 to 4 body paragraphs. The search results can take up 2 to 3 body paragraphs. First, write a general descriptive claim about your search results. Something about successful, not successful, surprising. What was your impression? So a general descriptive claim about your search results. Then refine your discussion to submission. Search reflection should take up the last body paragraph and the conclusion. This is where you also examine your own strengths, desires, anxieties, determination, and see how well you are matched to the career goal that you have. Honesty is a lot more believable and interesting than fluff. Nobody enjoys fluff in an essay, by the way. You reach word count by saying things that are interesting and develop logically and engage your reader. You don't reach word count by repeating yourself or having empty, overly general language. Nobody likes that. You are to write things that you understand people will read and people will want to enjoy. It is a good thing to conclude with what you still need to do research on. That's a common way of ending a social science or a science essay. What more do you need to know in order to carry on with your career path? It is also fine to conclude that you learned you should pursue a different path. Maybe you decided you didn't want to get a PhD so that you could become a forensic pathologist, because that is a pretty big investment to spend that much time in school. Or maybe you had sold yourself a little bit short. Maybe you thought, well, I just want to be a technician. And you realized when you did your research that actually you probably could devote a couple more years and get a bachelor's degree and kind of open up the possibilities for you in your future so that you could get a better job or a more satisfying job. Or you learned something else that you should work on to achieve your goal. Maybe you learned that you need to do better in math than you thought you needed to do, or something. Anyway, but it should be genuine. It should be, guided by your interests and your desires, and it should be a genuine reflection of what this research did for you and how you feel about it, if you feel inspired about it, excited by it, maybe even a little intimidated. These are all things that can happen. But this is the kind of writing that we're looking for this. Something that's really, it's an iSearch paper. It's a search for what you want to be doing. And that concludes this video.